Hello and welcome to Darrow's Comic School, and today is a great episode. It is the 1,000 subscribers celebration episode, and I want to thank you for the 1,000 subscribers. I hope I can provide you with great value and with great knowledge, and this is a very important episode because there's a few realizations, and almost to the day 10 years ago, I was working for the movies. I had finished movie school, and my original dream was always to make comics. And I show you a bit of figures, and I was very much into the X-Men and Berserk and stuff like that, and I will come to these later. And I was working for the movies, and on the movie set I was thinking we were doing some romantic comedy for the television, and I was pretty green. How old was I? I was 28, I guess. I had finished my studies, and yeah. And on the movie set, I thought to myself, man, what are you doing here? You always wanted to do comics. It was just an instinct from inside of me. And it was like, I mean, I love movies and I love storytelling, but it was more something like a calling that called me and said, you have to do something about it. You got to start now. You can't delay whatever it is that's inside of you. And in the movie school, my final, how do you say, my bachelor's degree, I made an animated short. It was called The Last Pickup Artist, but I really wanted to deliver a comic, but my movie professor said, you can't do that. You got to do a movie. So I did. I made an animated short. I worked for the movies. Then I dropped out, and I got myself a few books roughly 10 years ago. And it was like somehow 3 self-help books. I got this from the RSC Nation, probably, or I don't know where I found it, but it was like Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, Awakening to a Life's Purpose. Then I got myself The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. A great book, both great books. And I got myself a Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within, which kind of looked a bit like this, only that Tony Robbins was on the cover of it, and it was a pretty thick book, and it was talking about emotions and goals and tragedy. I don't know if it's good to read so much, but yeah, I wanted to figure out, how do I do comics? How can I make a living of it? How can I do something like this, or how can I do something like this? And so I got myself 3 comic books, and it was TheInvisibles by Grant Morrison. Then I got myself The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. And I got myself Understanding Comics by, what's his name? The guy with the glasses, but it will come to me again. Scott McCloud, yeah, that's his name. And today we'll talk about TheInvisibles, and why I loved it so much. And the past week I wanted to post videos because I have something. I go 3 times a week to the gym, and I want to put out 3 videos. But I was finishing a commission, and I was kind of spent, and so I took time to regenerate and just painted up some figures for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and it's a great game. And I went and played a bit, and I got myself or a friend printed me a Colossus. These are not the original figures from the Crisis Protocol, so I got a printed up Juggernaut, which I think is kind of, I find it a bit better than the original one, and the Omega Red. And I was thinking to myself, as long as we do stories about fighting and injustice and light and dark, crime, evil, as long as there are stories like this, we're good. Because like as boys, that's what we want to see. We want to see struggle, overcoming the struggle. We want to see punches, fighting, beautiful women, and it's good to know what you are. And I mean, maybe some other people want to see some other stuff, but that's what it is. I mean, it is some strange things coming from different worlds, some threats, some people trying to claim power, and then it's always somebody standing up to these powers and doing something wrong the right way again, or righting some wrong. So now I come to the Invisibles. It took me a while to get here. And before we start, there's also, I will go into the Sam Ovens thing in a bit, and he says, find out what you want in life, then get to work on achieving it, and that's it. That's it. Just keep going at it day after day, grinding at it. You don't need to listen to anybody. So, and if you stay until the end, I will show you what I've drawn up for Operation Übermensch, which you can see here. Maybe I will put it in a timestamp, and I just kind of churned out the story in 24 pages with some beats, but I will tell you this later. So let's start. Grant Morrison, TheInvisibles. What do I know about Grant Morrison and TheInvisibles? Let's start with a cover. I was always, how do you say it? At the train station, like we had a comics shop, but here in Germany, they like reading comics, and comic shop was a subculture in Italy. You could find great comics on every newsstand, and the comic culture was very good. So I don't know what it was, and I was always like, this book was always on the shelf, and I was always intrigued. I mean, not that I wanted to grab it, because like I was more into, okay, show me a Juggernaut, or show me a cool Colossus, and I will buy that. But this one didn't tell me too much. Like, it was, okay, I don't know what's this about. And one day I grabbed it and I browsed through it, and I don't know, like, it didn't really connect with me. The drawings are not that great. I was accustomed to Italian black and white comics or to the X-Men, and this was a bit like, meh, I don't know, not the greatest stuff. But around the time, 2012, 2013, I was very much into awakening, and there was crisis and war, and I felt the pain of the world. And I don't know, I got me this title because somewhere I read it was really great. And back then, it really, truly blew my mind. It was a great comic. I wish I would have read it for today, but it is a big book, and I'm reading too much stuff, and I'm busy doing other things right now. So I just browsed through it, and I came to certain parts, and I said, okay, this is great. I have to show you this. I have to share with you this part. And it starts somewhere in Egypt, in Cairo, and two people meet up. I think this guy is called King Mob. No, we will get to this. And so they talk about a scarab, And then we see a Molotov cocktail thrown in a school, and these kids are kind of, how do you say? Yeah, it's King Mob. It's kind of like some kids who are trouble, and they see all over the town this King Mob thing, and I don't know, this King Mob already interesting because he's talking, he's in Paris, he's in Cairo. We get already this beautiful James Bond like feeling, but we're not in an agent thriller. We're already talking about I would say some mystical stuff, and I'm very into that. And so we got this kid in school, and he's failing, or school is failing him. He's not paying attention. He doesn't fit in. He's a rebel, and the teacher says, yeah, I don't know. The teacher just doesn't like this kid, and he says, if you don't grow up, you will get in trouble, and yeah, a lot of that stuff. And I don't know, his mother isn't really there. So the kid goes down the river. I think it plays somewhere in Great Britain, and I love that. Great feeling. And some strange magical stuff is going on. Like he meets here two of the Beatles, but it's impossible because like the Beatles are now older, but he meets the younger self on this river. And so already some time travel stuff is happening, and then we see a monster here in the background. And I'm not convinced yet of the art, but it's decent. But the story is keeping me going. It's pretty interesting. I don't know where it's going, but the tone from the get-go is really cool. So they steal a car, and then they wreck the car, and King Mob is kind of like meditating and drifting into different planes and channeling somehow John Lennon and getting some information. Pretty strange stuff, but also kind of cool. And then the kids already, or again, cause trouble in the school, and then fire breaks out. They've gone too far, and then the kids are charged, and they get sent to a really strange facility. And then this is where it gets like really interesting. This is where I start to love this. Because like the kids is sent away, and you can see this guy with the glasses. They're pretty stiff and robotic, and they say strange things. Like, I'm Mr. Dwyer. I'll be your probation officer. And what does she say? Well, I think you'll find that the place we're going to has a much more experimental approach. We worry about boys like you, Dane. So much energy wasted in pointless pity acts of violence. We intend to find better ways to use that energy. And so, welcome to Harmony House. But it's like almost a prison. And then we can see here, and then this guy says, conformity. People nowadays sneer at that word, boys. The talk is all of individualism and self-reliance, but what has this glorification of the individual brought us? The ancient structure of law and order begin to crumble, worn down by a rising tide of anarchy and violence. Well, he has a point there. And then he talks, but we already get that he has somehow a pretty evil grin. And so they are here in the school, and they show him the rooms. And King Mob is preparing something. He's preparing to, I don't know, I think he wants to extract the kid. He's on the search for the kid. So pretty much like somehow the Matrix, like Neo and Morpheus. And they say that when they made the the movie, The Matrix, that the Wachowski brothers gave their stuff this comic and said, read this, it has to be like this. I don't know if it's true, could be. So King Mob is preparing himself, he's arming himself, he's getting into his suit to extract this kid. And we see now that this kid is shown around in these facilities, and we see that some pretty weird stuff is going on here. Like, you can see her kids, and they're, I don't know what good stuff they're getting, but they're trying to transform these kids into obedient citizens. And this is where I really started to love this book, and I will read you this passage, and this is where I got really hooked. And then probably we need to talk a bit about Grant Morrison, but yeah, this guy shows the kid around, and he's a pretty evil guy. He has always this evil grin, and always like evil grin, black glasses, and he's already. And then he says to the kid, I must have left my radio on. Time to go to bed now, little man. You've had a busy day, huh? And then it's like, yes, sir, wanker. And then this guy enters this room, and then some voice says, the child will be given to us tonight. The enemy must not have him. And this guy says, yes, no sense in waiting. And you see here like chains, and then he hesitates, like he doesn't turn his head. And then the voice says, why do you not approach me, Gelt? You hesitate. And then he says, I'm still afraid of you, your majesty. And then we see this crazy figure here, and it's like, wait a second, and it's like, fear is so good. I am the king in change, unborn and barren. Fear walks at my left hand, unveil yourself. And then this guy like strips down. Did I not give you new eyes to see? Did I not take your sin away and leave that beautiful ruin between your legs? Pretty sick stuff. I kind of love this because it hits the good points. So this guy falls down, stripped of whatever was, I would say, his manliness, and this thing says his sin and that beautiful ruin, like pretty sick. And then this guy falls down and he says, oh yes, then come, kneel. And then he says, lick the filth from my fingers, this benediction. And then this guy starts to lick that, and then my good and faithful servant. And this is like the lowest of the lowest. This is what we call spineless and fear-driven. And so great writing on this part. And then, I don't know, we get something about the boy. The boy wakes up in the middle of the night, and he has the urge to get out or to flee. And he tries to make his way out, and he finds a friend of his, and he says, man, are you all right? What's up? And he says, oh, I'm good. We got to get out of here, guys. Bad. And Christ, what did they do to you? And they're good. Like, he's kind of zombie. And then the kid runs him some hall, and here he finds some, I don't know, what is this, glasses full with something, and then he stands there and looks at it, and he puts one out, and then he looks at it, and this Gelt enters the room, and he says, see what remains of a boy when our work is done. And he says, oh shit, and he lets it fall. And I don't know if they extracted something from the head, or I don't know, but these guys are pretty evil. They're turning, like, I don't know, I mean, they're cooperating with demons and turning children into obedient, numb things. And so he's about to get a syringe full with, I don't know, and then this guy's brains get blown out, and King Mob shows up to save the day. And somehow the school's police or military is showing up, and we're getting here now cool shootout, and yeah, the book delivers. I mean, this is like a beautiful 80s, 90s weird Matrix thing, or Dark City, and I think, as I recall it, this was done even prior to those movies. So this is 1996, and Grant Morrison came up with this, or took whatever, I don't know where he took this from his ideas. So here, a great shootout, a bit bloody. King Mob saves the child. He gets to shoot this Geld guy, and he says, "Goodbye, Mr. Chips." But this Geld guy somehow, everything goes up in flames, and so King Mob rescued this kid, and this Geld tries to escape as a cockroach, but then the kid tramples over it, and so this Geld is also not saved. Yeah, some pretty messed up setup, and then the kid kind of lives on the streets, and we get it's not cool for him to live on the streets, and he meets this old crazy guy, but we will learn that on the streets, this old guy knows more, and he tries to teach him the ways. We're now into some secret society that kind of sees through the fabric of the world, and some evil guys are hunting down children. I don't know, it's like some occult stuff going on here, and yeah, some pretty. I was totally into this, and again, the art is not that great, but the storytelling is really fantastic, as you can see here. I don't know what's up with this guy, but he touches this writing, and he starts to see aliens and to see all kinds of different things and experimentation. And so we know that in this world, aliens, demons, time travel, surveillance, all of that stuff is real. And this older guy teaches the younger guy a lot about the world. And it's great. So we will have some, and action will always, there will always be some action parts. And then here the older guy shows the younger guy in a weird way what's up with the world, and he's looking at some high places, and these high places or wicked places are kind of possessed by demons leeching the energy of humans. And we go from the cities to ancient places, and it's really great. Like, it was a really great read. I know. I remember that when I was reading this, like, I resonated with it a lot. And like the second part is a bit slow, but it's cool because it gives you a setup of what's important. And then once we get further into the story, the drawings change, the artist changes, and I think it gets even a bit better. And now we really start kind of time traveling. Demons show up. We are kind of in medieval times with pretty deranged people, multiple storylines, and this is also pretty cool. King Mob is somehow somewhere in the future, and it's a barren nuclear wasteland, and he walks with this girl, and she doesn't know from who's the baby is from, and she says, a lot of soldiers took her, so she doesn't know. So in this fallout wasteland, somehow King Mob is going through the times, and I really should reread it to know if it's really holding up good, or if it's just or if it may hasn't aged that good. But in the time I was reading this, I was really into it, and it's going some really dark places and some sick places. And these guys, I don't know how they're called, like King Mob and his agents, and they try to fight this evil demons, time travelers, aliens, whatever's feeding on humanity. But it's definitely something very evil and very chaotic, and it just uses humans as things, and they are trying to be a power of good in that world. And the dialogue is sometimes like, the things that happen to people are really horrible. And yeah, I don't know, I was into it, and I wanted to share it with you. Maybe tell me what you think about TheInvisibles. Is it good? Was it great? Is it still good? And let me tell you something about Grant Morrison. I was also reading up or watching interviews about Grant Morrison, and I kind of liked that guy because I think he came from, I don't know, like working class, and then he made it as a writer, and he was a comic writer, and I kind of found it cool what he wrote. And then there was like something like, okay, he's trying to be Alan Moore and something like this, and then he tries to be his own person, but he's also like into very occult stuff, and I don't know how he's today. Latest I've seen, he was like non-binary, and I don't know if that's something like I can pick apart now, but I would say sometimes, and I mean, do as you feel or as you must, but I would say the last 20 years have been really chaotic, and if one can tell me he's a boy or a girl, or he's a bit more traditional, I like that a bit more. I see myself as pretty liberal, but I also see that we have lost a lot of good traditions, and maybe we're reaching a point or going into a direction where life gets a bit dystopian due to what? Not so much tyranny like in World War II and just bloody murder and execution and cruelty, sheer madness. Today maybe it's a bit more like in TheInvisibles. It's more like conformity, mindlessness, dumbing yourself down, and not, a bit more like this. Maybe this should be the thumbnail. But yeah. So I will end the video now. Just in case you're watching up until this point, lately I'm developing the Operation Übermensch comic, and as you can see here, notes. Sometimes this is how it gets from my head on the paper. And 10 years ago, I was kind of afraid because I didn't know how the process works and how you do a comic. But right now I'm pretty confident I could do a comic. Would it be the best? Would it be like Jim Lee? Probably not, but I know I could tell a story. I could start, I could finish it. It would look good enough. And maybe after that you do something that's even better. Sometimes when you paint like a miniature and you're not pretty happy with the outcome, sure, you can rework it and work it and work it, but sometimes you just need to finish it and then do another miniature or another comic. And while doing these, you get just better with time. So it's like in the gym, you will never have a perfect workout, but with time, you will know what a good or great workout is, and you will know yourself better. You will know when you will, what's the best practices, what's the best timing for workouts. And so here's also with the comic, and I was just putting down some notes, as you can see. And then I woke up this morning, and sometimes when inspiration hits you, it's important to follow suit and just to put out what you got in your head. And in page 1, 2, and 3, I was just thinking, okay, I don't know, where does this comic start? And maybe we see some doctors and medics, and we see here a silhouette. And then on the next page, we maybe see him and he wakes up, and a lot of doctors, like right here. And I was getting down, as you can see, this page where he has nightmares, or here his first team fight. And I was just, you see here, this is a key scene. And sometimes when you got key scenes, you can fill out the blanks. But in my head, I don't know what happens in these pages, but here's the second nightmare, and he starts to remember what he was and how he got there, and he's just a German Wehrmacht soldier, and he operates under the SS, and the SS people commit atrocities, and he doesn't really want to be there, but he fears for his own life. And so here I wrote down Barry Windsor Smith, Weapon X, Monster from Barry Windsor Smith, Universal Soldier, Roland Emmerich, World War II, War Crimes, The Island of Dr. Monroe. This is the story, something like this. And it's somehow a Frankenstein story where he probably is because there were a lot of German soldiers who were like regular people. Sure, maybe they got indoctrinated, and I don't want to say that's right or wrong, but this whole story is maybe like when the Germans started in World War II, they were probably pretty cocky, and then terrible things happened, and they saw how reality was, and then it led to terrible things. And so the soldier, maybe at the start, he's somebody who believes in the cause, in the just cause of the war. And then while he gets into the war, or is in the war, he starts to realizing what it really is, and that it is probably not what he expected it to be. And after he falls or gets murdered, this is like a bit like Spawn. They take him for this Operation Übermensch, and they stitch him up and transform him into something like a werewolf, or I don't know. They definitely change his physique, and maybe at the beginning of the story he doesn't remember who he is, but then he remembers, and we will know. In my head, he somehow is one of the good guys, but I don't know really how his story will be, but he will be shocked what he has become. And maybe it's also about revenge and justice, and yeah, I don't know. But you can see this is how I got it out, and you gotta work on it. Like it's like painting a miniature or making a comic or live. It is filing down the edges and making things happen. And it's not just a singular process, it's a day-by-day honing process. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit all over the place again, but yeah, we see us until the next video. See ya.